Take her. She's yours. Consider it charity.
The man who had spent 20 years catching every mistake in every ledger sat gripping a steering wheel in the dark, shaking. Stay until the end. You will understand everything. To understand this, we have to go back to a gray Tuesday morning when everything still felt ordinary. Callum Mercer was 43 years old. Ask him to sum up his life, and he would tell you this: a quiet man who keeps his word is worth more than a loud man who breaks it. 15 years of marriage had taught him patience. 20 years as a chief accountant downtown had taught him precision. On a gray Tuesday in October, both of those lessons were about to be tested. It started with lunch. He left the office early and picked up his wife's favorite meal, the same order she had loved since they were young and still learning each other. The walk took 6 minutes. He remembered every one of them, not because anything happened on the sidewalk, because they were the final 6 minutes of his life when he still believed he had the whole story.
I haven't eaten since yesterday. Anything you could spare, I'd be grateful.
You're young. Why aren't you working?
2 words from a stranger in uniform. Her husband. Spoken as plainly as the weather. And Callum's entire body went still. A tall man stepped out of the elevator, holding a phone to his ear and laughing easily. He gave the guard a familiar nod, the kind 2 people share when they have crossed paths 100 times.
Thank you.
Same as last time. 3 words. That was all it took. Whatever this was, it was not new. It had a pattern, a routine, a history. He sat behind the wheel for a long time. He watched his own hands shake for the first time in longer than he could remember. 20 years spent catching other people's mistakes, and he had not caught a single sign of his own marriage coming apart in his hands. That night, the house sat quietly. She slept untroubled beside him. He remained awake past 1 in the morning, replaying one word: husband, spoken so casually that it carried no doubt at all. Her laptop opened on the first attempt. Their wedding date. Why would a password need to be difficult when 15 years of trust never asked for locks? Buried 3 years back inside a folder he almost scrolled past was one line in her own words. He will not ask because he trusts me when I say I am working late. He found the key the next morning, unmarked brass attached to a faded access card, hidden beneath a velvet ring box in her jewelry drawer. It had been carried for a long time. The key turned smoothly in the lock, as though it had turned there 100 times before. Whatever waited behind this door had been waiting for a long while. Not a hideout. That was the first thing that struck him. A home, furnished and lived in. A throw blanket folded corner to corner on the couch, exactly the way she always folded blankets. Framed photographs covered the wall. Her laughing on a beach, her standing at a state park with a man's arm around her waist. In every photograph, her wedding ring was missing. A manila folder rested on the desk, future plans. One line near the bottom read, "Begin trying for children once everything is stable." His hands stopped being steady after that. He found the transfers, recurring monthly payments labeled family support, not to her elderly aunt, to the other man's mother in another city. 2 years of careful routing. That night, while sitting alone in a hotel room overlooking the lake, his phone rang. His sister's voice sounded careful, picking its way across something fragile. She changed the subject too quickly.
You knew this would happen? I know.
Roland arrived before noon, tall and gray-haired, with the kind of presence that fills a doorway without trying. He read every document in silence while his expression darkened by degrees. The two men sat across the table for a long time. The evidence between them told a story neither wanted to believe, but neither could deny.
Third level. It's dry. Warmer than the street.
A warning had been ignored 4 months earlier. An anonymous tip dismissed as the complaint of a disgruntled employee. It is a familiar mistake. A vague signal rarely feels urgent until it is standing in your kitchen with proof. She came home early. Her heels struck the hardwood floor fast and sharply. The rhythm of a woman who already knew something had gone wrong.
I don't think there was a before. I just kept hoping I was wrong about her.
He did not raise his voice. He never did. He simply unlocked the phone and turned the screen toward her. No explanation, just the truth sitting there in pixels and timestamps. He watched something happen to her face that he had never seen in 15 years. The composure of a woman who ran boardrooms for a living simply gave out.
My uncle took me in after my parents were gone.
He said nothing. He allowed the silence to remain there, heavy and complete. Sometimes the loudest answer a person can give is the one that contains no words at all.
Why were you on that street? Specifically that one.
Everything I did to hide it. Not everything that happened. Everything I did to hide it. Present tense. Deliberate. 3 years of careful concealment confirmed in 5 careless words. The polished executive who had once commanded boardrooms with absolute control now sat crumbling at a kitchen table, shaking and reaching for a hand that was no longer being offered. He lifted the keys from the hook beside the door, the same hook that had held them for 15 years, holding the keys to a life that no longer existed. He drove without a destination, past the park and along the lake. Gray water churned beneath a gray sky. Rain fell steadily, the kind that does not ask permission. Some people will tell you that walking away calmly means you feel nothing. They are wrong. Calm in moments like that is usually the loudest feeling a person has, only turned inward. 2 days later, his sister arrived at the hotel. She stood in the doorway holding her purse with both hands, as though she needed something solid to grip.
They won't hire me. Look at me.
Photographs, videos, and at the bottom, a 47-second audio file. Her voice came through the speakers clearly and unmistakably. He trusts too much. That is his greatest weakness. Two grown siblings held each other in a hotel room overlooking the lake, crying together for the first time since they were children.
3 days. If he's not your best worker, I'll apologize in writing.
Who are you?
The next morning, he drove to the courthouse and filed for divorce. The simplest, true thing he had said in days was that the marriage was beyond repair. Within the week, the board voted to remove her. The other man was escorted out that same afternoon, his office cleared beneath the watch of guards he used to greet with a joke.
Why are you doing this?
The anonymous tip from 4 months earlier had come from a junior finance analyst who noticed irregular expense routing. Not the only person paying attention, just the only one with enough at stake to follow it through. He sold the house that winter. He found a smaller place near the water. Some things belong to a chapter, not to the person who survived it. He started seeing a therapist that January. He did not talk much at first. He simply sat and allowed himself to feel the things he had been too busy gathering evidence to feel. During one session, she asked what he had been so afraid of losing that he stopped noticing the marriage slipping away. He did not have an answer that day. He thought about it for weeks. Then, one quiet evening, a message arrived from the other man, long and rambling. The kind of message a person writes to ease a guilty conscience more than to reach anyone else. Buried inside the message was one line that stopped him cold. She once hired a private investigator to follow you for 6 months. I always thought you should know that. 6 months. A professional following him to the office, to lunch, and to the gym. All so she could be certain her own husband suspected nothing while she finalized her plans. He turned the phone face down on the counter and pressed it flat. The last locked door had finally opened, and nothing remained behind it to surprise him anymore. Something settled inside him that night. Not peace exactly, something close to it. The kind of quiet that only comes when there is truly nothing left to uncover. His sister started visiting more often after that. Sunday dinners mostly. Simple things. The two of them sitting at his small table the way they had when they were children. She never apologized again after that night in the hotel. She did not need to. She simply kept showing up week after week, slowly rebuilding what fear had once worn thin. Once, when he finally told her about the necklace, the one detail he had been unable to say aloud, she did not try to fix it. She simply held his hand until he was ready to talk about something else. It was inside a used bookstore on an unremarkable Saturday that he met someone who made him catch 2 falling paperbacks before they hit the floor. She was balancing too many books in too few hands. The kind of small, clumsy, human moment that somehow opens a door neither person planned to walk through. She laughed at his answer. Really laughed. Easy and unguarded. The most honest sound he had heard in a room in longer than he could measure. They did not rush anything. No grand declarations. Just coffee every now and then, and a walk along the lakefront when the weather allowed it. Slow and steady. One Saturday morning, his phone buzzed. Something about brunch. Nothing urgent, just 2 people making easy plans. He smiled at the screen. A few weeks later, he ran into his former wife at a grocery store. They were both reaching toward the same display before either noticed the other. She looked thinner than he remembered, tired in a way that polish could no longer completely hide. The once powerful executive now stood in a grocery aisle, looking uncertain, perhaps for the first time. He gave her a small, simple nod. No words, no anger left to spend. He turned and walked away. He did not look back. She stood there for a long moment, watching him leave. One hand slowly rose to touch the bare collarbone where a pendant had once hung. The expression of a woman who finally understood exactly what she had traded away. He never stood before a mirror and declared himself healed. Healing was quieter than that, less like a finish line and more like a long, steady walk you only notice after turning around. He did not forgive her in any official, spoken-aloud way, but he did not carry hatred for her either. Somewhere during those 2 years, hatred had simply become too heavy to keep holding. His sister showed her commitment to repairing their relationship in small, unglamorous ways. Take out on an ordinary weeknight, sitting beside him while a game played quietly, not filling the silence, just making room inside it. With Iris, he found himself doing something he had not done in a long time. Talking. Really talking about things that had nothing to do with grief or evidence.
Do whatever the law requires. But handle it with some dignity, please.
For the first time in 15 years, Callum Mercer did not have to be anyone's foundation. He only had to be himself. And that, he discovered, was more than enough. Right now, somewhere, you might be holding a truth you are afraid to examine, or carrying someone else's secret because the cost of speaking feels too high. The people who remain quiet are rarely heartless. More often, they are terrified of becoming the person who cracks an image everyone works so hard to build. But silence almost never prevents a story from coming out. It only decides who gets hurt the most by the time it finally does. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that, when the truth finally came out, the hardest part was not what they did, but realizing that your own trust had been used against you? Tell me in the comments. Not the entire story if it is too painful. Just tell me whether you remained quiet or whether you spoke. I want to hear from you. First, a quiet man who keeps his word is never weak. Stillness in the face of betrayal is not numbness. It is the mind protecting itself long enough to think instead of react. Second, fear disguised as loyalty looks almost exactly like the real thing, right up until the moment it breaks the person it was supposed to protect. Third, you do not have to be anyone's foundation to matter. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand on your own and discover that you are more than enough. If this story touched something real inside you, press the subscribe button so you never miss another one. Share this with one person who needs to hear it today. You know exactly who came to mind just now. If you have a story of your own, a truth you carried, a silence you broke, or one you wish you had broken, write it below. This is a safe place. Turn on notifications so that the next time a story like this goes live, you are the first to hear it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying. And remember, the truth may hurt, but it is the only thing that can ever truly set you free.
Listen carefully. There is something you all must understand.
That is enough.
You've got it. That's exactly it, right? I almost missed it.
No.
No, but you found it now.
We're doing good.
I needed to know the truth, son. And you need to hear it yourself.
I love you, Taliesin. Everything I did was because I love you.
There's some